Good afternoon, everyone. I hope that you are in very great conditions, and of course, stay happy and healthy. And I'm Uji. So today for the sessions, I will be your MC. Yeah, it's also such an honor, of course, for me myself. I'm from Indonesia. And actually, I also joined several events in AEN or also in Indecons. Also, I become a trainee in AEN. And today, we are going to continue our presentation and also, of course, discussions. And I will go to these discussions, but then before, I would like to tell you we are having 6 presentator or 6 speakers for these sessions, and then later on we will divide this into 2 sessions. Yeah, so the first session will be 3 speakers. Each speakers, they will deliver presentation for about 15 minutes. And then later on, after that, we gonna have a question and answer for 10 minutes. And then after that, we will continue for the next 3 speakers. Yeah, we also has the same time. Yeah, with 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, and 10 minutes question and answer. And now I would like to start with the first presentations. We'll invite Dr. Maulita Sarihani, but then before that, I would like to read her short bio. So Lita studied tourism and fisheries science. She works in marine wildlife conservation and tourism by encouraging community-based management. She developed strategies and proposed actions based on scientific studies. Her work contributes to species and habitat protection in addition to empower women and boost local economy. She's the founder of Ecotourism, a social enterprise that promotes sustainable traveling, and Indonesia Bumi Udayana Foundation. Currently, she involves in Women Tourism Indonesia as an advisor and Sustainable Ocean Alliance as a mentor, in addition to writing publications and policy papers and shark and race conservations. So I invite Dr. Maulita Sarihani to share her presentations. Dr. Maulita or
yes,
Ibu Lita, please, I give the screen to you now.
Thank you, Ibu Chi. You can just call me Lita. Hello,
Okay.
everybody. How are you? It was an interesting topic since morning, and it's an honor too that I can be here and then share one of our work from Conservation International Indonesia. So I would like to share my screen, and Ibu Chi, would you please let me know if it's okay or not?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the first one is okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So today, I'm very excited to share about one of our project about manta ray tourism management in Indonesia. As you know that Indonesia is very rich with its marine resources, especially the marine wildlife. And one of the popular attraction is manta rays. And then if we can see on the next slide, there are a number of shark and rays destination in Indonesia. There is one in Kalimantan, and then also in Bali, Komodo National Park, also especially for the manta rays, Nusa Dua in Bali, and Raja Ampat. So I would like to present the quick facts about manta rays. Maybe some of you that have less information about these species, I would like to share also threats to these species and how the tourism developed in Indonesia, especially how the stakeholders support the development and the strategies, and also women, and how we effectively manage the Manta tourism by conducting peace strategy. It's a short for participation, education, conservation, and I will tell you more about that. Okay, so when you see manta ray, please, there is a difference between manta ray and stingray. This is not the manta that kill our favorite Steve Irwin. This is a different types of rays, which is has no poison on the tail. Manta ray is very harmless and not harmless or harmful because first of all, they are a social species, and then there are two types of manta rays that we can see from this screen. There's a big one that can be reach up to 7 meters wingspan, which is the Birostris, that the habitat is mostly in the open oceans. And then the other one is Alfredi, which is, we often see this manta ray in coral reef ecosystem. And unfortunately, we can see manta rays in very specific areas, like for example, in Japan, in Indonesia, in Thailand, and then most of the areas that been utilized for manta rays has specific purposes. So, and I'll let you know afterward. And they are very intelligent compared with their body mass and their brain. That's why most of the time we, and also from the previous study has confirmed that they have a kind of, how do you say, can communicate with humans, and then can understand our feeling by their motoric senses. With the motoric senses, and it becomes more sensitive for them when we have tourists around them. They filter feeder, so they only eat a very small plankton or zooplankton, and only give a birth to one pup every 2 to 6 years. So because of these reasons, there are lots of threats that actually still become a problem in Indonesia and also worldwide, where in Indonesia itself, like 10 years ago, we still contribute to the shark and ray landing, including the gills of manta rays. And then also from the physical development, either properties or tourism. And then again, tourism with the over-numbered of boats, over-number of tourists, and plastic, including also the traditional hunting. But after a couple of years, and then a number of initiatives and studies confirm that marine wildlife tourism actually can bring more benefits, economically benefits, culture and environmental benefits compared if we just trade the gills. Like we studied a couple years ago, a dead manta rays that been trading in the market is only valued for $500 the whole life. But when we utilize as the attraction for ecotourism, and then we confirm the value can reach up to $1 million for the whole life. So for that reason, Mailey also studied in 2013, confirmed that there are $73 million worldwide direct economic impact from tourism, including all those countries that I mentioned before. So it's not only from Indonesia, a lot of countries, including in America, Mozambique, Thailand, Japan, and others. So it's like more than 10 countries. Yeah, so if we look back from the previous studies from ORAMS or from Hingham, that actually when we talk about wildlife tourism, it has been promoted since the 1950s, where the attraction is more on the whale watching. And then coming into the 80s, people started to see sharks as the popular attraction, in the 90s. And then now in the 20s, especially in Asia, shark embrace become very popular. Why? Because when you understand that this species become endangered, and then you cannot really see it anymore, and it becomes like a highlight, become a star. And then so for that reason, we are in Indonesia encourage manta ray tourism as one of the alternative for the local community instead of trading or doing the traditional hunting. And so what do we do in Indonesia to support the manta ray tourism management? So as I told you before, it's very impossible to do it just like in one party. So we have to work with a lot of parties, a lot of stakeholders. And then we started with the community group. We started with working groups. Like in Raja Ampat, we have a working group called Pokja Manta, where it consists of government, business, private, community, academics, and then NGOs and a number of other organizations. And also in Komodo National Park, all the dive operators, they come together with the government, developing and establishing a working group, the same with the intention to support the patrols. Because as you know, that when we develop a marine wildlife tourism, meaning that we have to patrol not only the species, but also to ensure that their habitat is safe and secure. And then we need support from all of the level of stakeholders to do the patrols. And again, rangers by utilizing local communities. Why? Because they live there from generation to generation. They understand the areas, and then they value the species in culturally, environmentally, and involving the women to become rangers and patrol. Why women? Because women are the main resources in the area who actually utilize the natural resources. They the one who have the traditional knowledge how they manage the natural resources sustainably. And we encourage them to have the opportunity, the same like the man, to involve and to patrol the tourists when they want to come, checking the permits, and then all the liability and etc. And also by having the working group, we engage the participation from the tourist itself by developing citizen scientist program, where every tourist that came or conduct or do manta ray tourism, we encourage them to take photos of the ID. And then now we have more than 1,000 photo IDs from Nusa Penida, from Komodo, from Raja Ampat, and then we share the photo ID, so we know that we identified the manta rays that we found in Nusa Penida. We also found it in Raja Ampat, and then it's very good, meaning that we have to linkage these areas, and then to make sure that the establishment of conservation areas for the protections of the manta rays. And the second strategy is education. As we know that, especially when we talk about the more we know, the more we don't know. And then so it works also with the manta rays. When people know about manta ray, when we educate people about how important they're to the environment as a flagship species, and then the more that they also understand and support the conservation of these species. So what do? We, of course, briefing from all the tour operators for all the tourists before they come and see the manta rays, interpretation materials, printing, online, a lot of materials board on the conservation areas about manta rays and etc. Outreach, online, offline, especially during the COVID, we conduct lots of outreach like now, like today, not only in the area, but now actually it's very good because we can educate people from all over the world about this species, about how we share and how we educate people from locally to internationally. And then capacity building, of course, is very important. And then so we have a standard everywhere. The same standard is certification, even though not yet certification, ecotourism certificate yet, but we are going into it on the way. And hopefully we can get support from that. And then certification for the guide, which is specific for the wildlife. And dissemination is also important because we have lots of researchers coming from national, regional, even international researchers coming from all over the world that support the tourism management and development. And then so we share the results, not only in one areas, but also to be a lesson learned from one place to the other place. So that's why this is very important for us to always share and socialize the information. The third strategy is adaptive management. Why adaptive? Because this specific species has their own utilization when they stay in one area. So this is an example of Raja Ampat, where Raja Ampat is a popular destination for manta rays, and we have more than 10 sites or 10 spots for manta ray tourism, and each of the spot have a very specific site management. Why is that? Because the depth is different, the species is different. Not all the species is for Alfredi, but also for Birostris. The size of the manta rays, some of the areas are utilized for nursery, which is mean that for the baby mantas, and then we how do you say, we encourage not to utilize it for tourism, for example. Like we know which areas are sensitive, and then it's protected and closed for tourism. And then the sightings, meaning that what time is the sighting of the manta rays in each areas, and then so we can spread the number of the tourists. So no mass tourism. So when they come to Raja Ampat, they have to book to see and to interact with the manta ray minimum 1 day before, and then so they know where do they have to go. So if the time is already full in one site, and then so for example in Manta Sand is already full for that day, and then so they can go to Blue Magic and etc. So that's why it's very site specific, and the coverage area also different, and the habitat utilization. Each of the these species utilize the area either for cleaning, for feeding, or for nursery. So, and they are very sensitive areas that we do not want to exploitate that too much. The fourth strategy is the conservation initiative. We are very lucky that the government is very supportive in this. Like the government already fully protected this species since 2014, meaning that there is no more trading. And then also the regional has protected the species by establishing the shark and ray sanctuary. So actually Indonesia has the largest shark and ray sanctuary worldwide. So this is a very good example when we would like to protect the species. It's not only the animal, but also the areas that cover all the marine resources that are available in the area. And we have national plan of action to guide all the stakeholders to develop and to protect these species. Lots of sanctuaries, protected areas with different status to support the conservation. We also conduct species monitoring, meaning that ourselves, our organization, we deployed satellite tagging to monitor the movement of the manta ray. So we know where the manta ray is moving and goes from one side to the other side, for example, from Nusa Penida to Raja Ampat just for giving a birth, and afterward they come back again to Nusa Penida. The same with Komodo, to ensure that these three protected areas are still utilized for positive benefits, both for tourism and for the manta rays. And the booking system is very effective. Why? Because we can control the numbers of the tourists. We can control the numbers of the operators. So if there are some operators doing a not following the code of conduct or regulation, we know who are coming on the particular time, and then we can just contact them to give a sanction, or yeah, it depends on what kind of activities that they do, and of course the code of conduct.
Yeah.
And the fifth strategies and how this community or stakeholders.
Sorry, Lita.
Yes.
Sorry, Lita. Your time is over actually. Do you still have more?
Just one.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. And the last one is economic incentive, where we establish user fee system from the tourists, so they have to pay payment ecosystem services, and the allocation, one of them for conservation of the species, permit of course for all the businesses, donation like crafts, local supply and local products, and hospitality tourism services. From here, I would like to share that key important points from this strategy. Science is always important as the basic to encourage and to guide us to recommend that what strategies actually that we have to propose. Collaboration is very important, co-management from all the stakeholders, and integration for the programs of each the stakeholders. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, feel free, and yes, have a good afternoon.
Okay, thank you very much for Lita. It's really a great, especially the last three words: science, collaboration, and integration. It's yeah, that's the magic word, I guess. But we will continue later on the discussion. Yeah, for the audiences, you may write your questions via our chat. Yeah, and then for all the presentations later on, everyone may access via AAN website. So later on, the committee will upload all the presentations there. So no worries. And then now we are going to the second speaker, Mr. Andrew Sebastian. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Okay. Yes.
Greetings.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So before he deliver his presentation, I would like to read his short bio. So Mr. Andrew Sebastian is an accomplished naturalist, environmentalist, and an established professional bird and wildlife guide for 20 years. Wow. Andrew actively leads tours in Malaysia and the region, including Sulawesi, Sumatra, and Papua. A law graduate, Andrew has devoted more than 2 decades in environmental and ecotourism issues through his work with numerous NGOs and corporates. He credits his passion for nature to his childhood growing up in the forest of the Forest Research Institute of Malaysia, FRIM, and Andrew has served and initiated numerous conservation and awareness campaigns, which included the landmark protection of the Royal Belum State Park back in 2006, and most recently, chair of the Malaysia Birding Tourism Council. He has also co-founded the Asian Bird Fair Network, ABF, which has grown to be one of the largest bird watching events in the world. He also co-founded the Wild Bird Club of Malaysia, WBCM, and Tangkoko Bird Club in Sulawesi. He is attributed as a major influencer in the conservation field with over 440 media mentions and reports. He is currently the brand ambassador for Leica and is a subject matter expert for Tourism Malaysia for over 15 years now. Today, he presents to us the president, founder, and CEO of his NGO, the Ecotourism and Conservation Society Malaysia, ECOMI. So, Mr. Andrew Sebastian, the monitors is yours now. 15
Thank you.
minutes, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'll go quite fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
So once again, good afternoon, everybody. Greetings from 34 degrees in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. It's very warm. It's either flooded or very warm. So it's my pleasure once again to be part of this summit. Thank you very much to AEN and congratulations to all the speakers. I learned a lot from listening to the previous speakers as well. So let's go. My presentation today is going to be remotely handled by the AEN Secretariat. Thank you very much. Can I have my slide, please? Thank you.
One second, I'm trying to get it.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
It's something always new.
That's all right. Yes. So my topic is going to cover. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. My topic is going to cover Malaysia, our post-COVID sustainability and exactly what's going on with regards to our market and regards to our functionality as an ecotourism site. The next slide, please. Thank you, Sarosa. Okay. So this is actually a video. I think in this current format, I think the video won't show. This is me discovering a juvenile sun bear. Sun bear is our smallest bear in the world. Yeah. So I discovered a sun bear as we were doing one of my trips to the national park. So it's a cute video. I will try to load it on AEN's website right after this. But right now, let's move to our next slide, please. Thank you. Right. Okay. So Malaysia is one of the 34. I think everybody here would agree, and we all know this really, really well. But just to point to some of the interesting facts from this map. Yeah. So 34 mega diversity hotspots in the world. We are known as one of the 17 actually, and out of 34. For those of you who do not know, we hold about 75% of all known biodiversity in the world. Yeah, so these 34 mega diversity hotspots or mega diverse countries are very, very crucial in terms of what we all want to promote, i.e., ecotourism. Next, please. Okay, looking at Malaysia, yeah, why we feel that we are one of the mega players in terms of mega diversity. I put together a slide that compares us and South Africa and even Costa Rica. So look at wild birds, wild cats. Yeah, for example, column number 1. People think South Africa, of course, they have the Big Ten and have a lot of beautiful cats. But compare a little tiny country of Malaysia to South Africa, and you can see that we have about 9 species of wild cats compared to South Africa's 10. Yeah, and comparing it to Costa Rica, I think the best ecotourism site in the world, I think they have about 6. Yeah, and if you look at primates, comparing us to South Africa and Costa Rica, we are actually Planet of the Apes, right here in Malaysia. We have about 25 species of primates to showcase to the world, compared to 6 South Africa and 4 in Costa Rica. As we go along, 1,300 species of butterflies, 873 species of birds, even though the ungulates 10, and mammals, I think there's a typo, is 331 species compared to Africa and Costa Rica, 331. Yeah, so and that is you can see a screenshot of all the animals up there, all around the PowerPoint. Yeah, from the Malayan tape to the Malayan tiger to the Bornean pygmy elephants and so on. So Malaysia, I think, is one of the I think we are best situated, I think, in terms of our ecotourism product. Next, please. Okay, so again, value of ecotourism, I think I won't touch on this. I think everybody here in this panel and people listening in when we repeat or when we show the recorded sessions, the value of ecotourism is really, really large. Ecotourism will include AV tourism, botanical tourism, hiking and trekking, marine tourism, and we just heard about manta rays. That's really, really nice. And of course, wildlife tourism. My organization, EcoMai and Tourism Malaysia estimates that in terms of bird watchers alone, in 2015, 3,100 bird watchers, as an example. Only it's a small number, right? 3,150 bird watchers came to visit Malaysia and to bird, but they themselves spent over 20.3 million ringgit in tourism dollars for the country. So it's niche tourism, is high yield, and that's why we are here today, and that's why I'm very happy to promote ecotourism everywhere I go. Next, please. Okay, yeah. In terms of tourist arrival, looking, of course, COVID and post-COVID, I think everybody knows the story. But if you can see a steady growth in terms of tourism arrival projections from 2013 to 2020, and of course after 2020, of course it's a big drop, Next, please. Okay, and this is what's happening in COVID and post-COVID scenario in the world right now. Again, I think all of us are quite familiar with this, but it's nice for us to actually revisit some of the important points that's going on in the world, coming out from all the big organizations. In the United Nations points to the crisis, and points to opportunity to transform the relationship between tourism with nature, climate, and economy. And in this briefing paper, they talk specifically about ecosystems, and they talk specifically about sustainable tourism. And this is the way of the world, and this is how we are moving towards developing or promoting even ecotourism in the country and of course around the world. Next, please. Yes, and look at this. This is yes. And again, the industry, the travel industry is pointing to a very, very interesting revenue. Booking.com, for example, 72% tourists believe that people need to take action now and make sustainable travel choices. So travel is now going to be a little bit more interesting. A lot more people, as you know and I know, a lot more people want to spend their hard-earned post-lockdown life and holidaying, going to somewhere very nature-based. So sustainable tourism and sustainable choices are top of the list of people who are doing bookings and going holidaying around the world. Next, please. Okay, and the future of sustainable travel and nature-based tourism, according to the UN WTO, and I think you already know this, the trend is actually going and upwards. So we are in a very good position in terms of watching manta rays, or even watching whale sharks, watching birds, all around the world, because this is where the market is driving us towards. Next, please. Okay, and of course IUCN and so on. Again, the IUCN is the leader in terms of biodiversity and research and studies. IUCN also points that the future is sustainable travel and nature-based tourism. Next, please. Okay, now if I'm going to point to Malaysia, and if I'm going to talk about nature-based tourism or ecotourism for my fellow countrymen, of course, and to travelers who are thinking about traveling to somewhere around the world, let's take a look at a single destination. There's an island called Island of Langkawi. It is up north in Peninsular Malaysia. It is 5 hours drive from Kuala Lumpur up north. It's at the border of between Peninsular Malaysia and Thailand. This one little island alone is the best example of a single ecotourism destination. Apart from birds, unique birds in that area, it also has wildlife, but most importantly for ecotourism and even tourism in a sense, it has geological features. It has some of the oldest limestone formations and oldest limestone forests, 550 million years old, and making it a geopark right now. Langkawi also supports or also has an international airport. It has a variety of accommodations from backpackers to 6-star hotels and so on, and cruise liners also turn up there. But most importantly, Langkawi has maintained to preserve over 60% of its land base and kept it natural. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, an example of a single ecotourism destination that I can point out for Malaysia. Next, please. And again, picking out, because I'm a professional bird watcher, bird watching guide and wildlife guide. I want to pick on bird watching, for example. If you look at this map, a cross section of this map, after South America, the largest number of concentration of birds are actually in the Asia or Oriental area. Yeah, so for 35% in South America, look at the Orient is 21%. Yeah, so the next best place for people to see as many birds as they can. Looking at birds, for example, come on to the Orient, come on to Asia, truly Asia, yeah, Malaysia as well. Next, please. And this is some of the examples of what Malaysia can offer to the world. And post-COVID, this is what we are trying to showcase. We're going to showcase a lot more local communities. We're going to showcase about more local run Airbnb sort of places, local run ecotourism destinations. But most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, things like the helmeted hornbill, for example, critically endangered in the world, but the numbers are doing quite well still in Malaysia. And on the right, the striking head and the black body, that's the Bornean bristol head, endemic only to the island of Borneo, yeah, together with the blue-headed pita. These are some of the most significant products that are being actually developed by local communities in Malaysia and being tied up with tour operators as well as properties, holiday properties and so on around the country. Next, please. Yeah. So in the cross section, I'm putting a fun map for everybody to see. This is Malaysia. This is a very colorful map, of course, and this is what we should do in terms of marketing and promoting tourism. Malaysia, thank you very much. So it shows a cross section of what Malaysia can offer. And post-COVID, I think almost everything is still up and running or trying to go up and running. The hotels are open, the islands are open, the country and the ecotourism products are open. So post-COVID, we're looking pretty okay. And just like the rest of the world, we are hoping to put our mark in front in terms of a tourism or ecotourism destination for the world. Next, please. Okay, so in a nutshell, for me, because I'm a practitioner, ecotourism is key for our country, Malaysia, because tourism is the second income earner for our country. And in that industry and in that tourism receipts, over 42% of people surveyed in the departing survey says they took part in some nature-based activities. So ecotourism is actually key for a country like Malaysia, yeah, and we can compete, yeah. So look, in a nutshell, we have to reinvent ourselves, even Malaysia, all our products, all our ecotourism players, all our stakeholders. It's time now for us to reinvent ourselves post-COVID and beyond, yeah. We need to come up with interesting, exciting tie-ups and even networking with even other countries and other properties around the world or in Asia. Yeah. Point number 2, sustainable tourism and ecotourism depends on its natural capital. Just like a lot of places in the world, we are not doing too good a job in protecting nature, protecting the golden goose that lays the golden egg. Yeah. So we need to protect that because ecotourism, sustainable tourism, the way that the world is moving towards depends on us protecting our natural assets. So we need to protect our natural assets. It's not just for Malaysia, but I think around the world. Most important, ladies and gentlemen, and I think to my fellow Malaysians who are listening in, we need to protect Malaysia's rich natural heritage. We have to invest in sustainable products. And then if you manage to do that, we will manage to attract the world to us. Yeah. So most important, ladies and gentlemen, and in a nutshell, ecotourism is the key. Whether you're watching manta rays or orangutans or beautiful birds, yeah, or snorkeling, or going up to the beautiful mountains of Kinabalu in Sabah, or the longhouses and the river in Sarawak, ecotourism is the way to go. And in the exception of COVID and post-COVID, I think it's the way to go and it's more sustainable. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Andrew, for your enlightening presentation. Again, we are going to discuss more later after the third presentator, of course, yeah, the third speaker. And again, I would like to invite the audience who wants to raise questions. You may write your questions in our chat room. And then later on, after the third presentator or speaker, we are going to start to have discussions. Yeah. And now we go to the third speakers, Mr. Alan Wong. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. So before we go to him, I would like to again read.
Sorry, Yuji, I stopped you for a minute. Masaru, could you help to do the admission people? Because while I'm
okay, I'll do it. Don't worry.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Please go on. Okay.
Okay. So Mr. Alan Wong is the Dean and Professor of China Hospitality and Tourism School and the founder and expert consultant for G&D Tourism, Hospitality and Educational Consulting. He has an MPhil and PhD from the School of Hotel and Tourism Management, SHTM, the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. In 2002, Dr. Wong received the first Teaching Excellence Award from SHTM in recognition of his superior classroom teaching and significant contributions to the enhancement of teaching and learning. He also received the SHTM Service Excellence Award of 2017. He served as an advisor and consultant to Fung Yan Butterfly Reserve, the China Ecological Civilization Research, Hong Kong Association of Registered Tour Coordinators, or HARTSCO, a prolific author of various published papers and articles in different hospitality, educational, and management journals. His recent interests are in ecotour guiding, ecotourism as a tool for poverty alleviation and sustainability in hospitality industry. Alan is a certified GSTC, Global Sustainable Tourism Council trainer, a green destination auditor or advisor, and provides sustainable ecotourism training in Hong Kong and other ASEAN countries. Okay, so yeah, we are looking forward to see your great presentation, Dr. Alan. So now the screen is yours.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, yeah, we can see your screen.
My PowerPoint as well?
Clearly.
Sorry?
Clearly, very clear.
Okay, thank you.
Screen.
Can I move on now? Because I can't see myself. I don't know why.
Yeah. Okay.
So I can start now?
Yes, please.
Okay, so thank you very much. Today I'm going to present the topic on ecotourism supported by educators and students. I'm using the case of a surface learning, and we're going to share some good practice with you, okay? So, So the outline is that I'm going to talk about ecotourism supported by various stakeholders, and then educators, students as a stakeholder in the ecotourism, and surface learning, and using a poly-U surface learning, the subject called ecotourism in rural and developing regions as an example. And lastly, we'll share some good practice as well. Okay, Yuji, is it clear? Okay, everything?
Yeah, it's clear. Yes.
Okay, let's move on then. So, sorry. All right, so stakeholders, right? According to one scholar, she researched saying that as a contrast to main tourism, ecotourism has a more diverse and a wide range of stakeholders, all right? That include, of course, tourism enterprise, consumer, different level of governments, and non-government organizations, right? But for ecotourism, for different stakeholders, it's more problematic, right? And when we try to develop ecotourism and all these things, right? And don't forget that our mission for our AEM mission is connect stakeholders for knowledge transfer, consulting, marketing, and business develop to achieve sustainability, right? And stakeholder, we define as the community, privates, and public sector, tourism and hospitality sector, NGOs, and academia. To me, not just what we call academia, but I would call educators and students as well. They are part of the stakeholder, right? So I'm going to move on to talk about what surface learning is all about. Actually, surface learning is a kind of experiential learning in a university setting, right? And we teach our students some academic or theory concept, and then ask them to practice it. Okay, what we call is a learning through engagement in service, reproducing service. That is a kind of what we call surface learning. And this is one of the sites that we went to in Inner Mongolia. Okay, I'm going to talk more about this later. All right. So, So I create a elective subject called Ecotourism in Rural and Developing Region. And this is elective subject is for all the students in the university. And to be honest, it's a very popular elective for the student, all right? They love it. And we got very good word of mouth for every year, where we have a lot of students apply for this elective. And the objective of this elective is that first we'll introduce some concept and practice of surface learning. Okay, of course, we talk about the concept, theory, and practice of ecotourism as well. And most important as well, we want to develop the students some competence of using ecotourism as a tool for poverty elevation. So this is one of the key thing in our subject. All right. Of course, there are other objectives, help them to have a problem-solving skill, communication skill, and a team building, teamwork skill, and awareness and responsibility as well. So everybody know about this, what we call global sustainable development goals, right? And there are 17 of them. And number one, it's called no poverty, right? So the number one goal is to end poverty in all its form everywhere, okay? And we sometimes this kind of tourism we call poor tourism. Of course, there's a lot of arguments, pro and cons about poor tourism, whether we can really help the poor by using tourism, or even we say ecotourism can really help the poor, okay? So actually, the subject that we not just talking about theory concept in the classroom, but we require our students to go to the site to deliver the service to help the villages, okay? So usually we have a one semester, give them some concept theory about ecotourism, and then in the third semester, we will ask them to go to the site to develop their service to help the poor. The subject called rural and developing region. That is our target. We find some poor villages and rural areas for serving, okay? And this is kind of what we call community-based ecotourism. As you know, that community-based ecotourism is form of ecotourism that we emphasize on the local community. And we want the local resident that they can control over them, not by the tour operator, and not by the outside body. We want the local people really benefit to it. Okay, and we hope that at least there are three benefits that we emphasize on, that we help them the local community to increase their income, right? And we help them to identify natural resources, and then help them to do it, use these resources for sustainability, and then we want to increase their value of the tourism product. Okay, I remember yesterday or today, I forgot which presenter, he mentioned about the volume of the tourists are less, but their income are increasing. So that is kind of a very good kind of increasing in their value, okay, of their product. Sorry. Actually, I retired already in 2018, and before my retirement, I have been teaching this subject for 4 or 5 years, and we've been serving in a different site, village in China, Cambodia, Inner Mongolia, and even in Indonesia. Okay, and because the time is short, okay, so I only highlight some of this project and share some of my experience with you all. Okay, so far so good. Yuji, clear?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, I'm moving on now. So this is one of the first slides we went to is the place called Qingping Villages. It's in Sichuan, China. Okay, actually last year, 2 years ago, we went to Sichuan, Chengdu for our meeting. Our 2000 meeting for AEN, right? That is the same kind of province. But in that year, that area have a major earthquake, very big earthquake. I forgot, a 7 scale, I think. It's a very destructive, making a lot of destruction, okay? And then our student went there to help them to rebuild their confidence, all right? And one of the things we did, right? This is only one of the things we did. We can share later if we have time, right? Called capacity building. As what we saw again yesterday, I remember one of the speaker quoting the call Booking.com. They find out that people want to go to ecotourism. One of the criteria that they could good tour guiding, something like that. Number one preference, right? So we help the local community, especially the women group, to increase their guiding skill, right? And the student help them to do the sharing, and they have an exam as well, right? Theory plus practice, and training how to tour around their village and introduce them. And this is one of the things we did, all right? So another side, I can show you that this is another side. Again, is a different city called Chengdu. This is Tuanjiexiang in China. One of the project we did is the helping children in the local community for environmental and conservation awareness. And you can see that our students, they are university undergraduate students. They teaching the kids about 3 hours, okay, how they can be more aware, these separate different materials, okay. These are poor kids. I don't know whether you know that in the China situation that a lot of villages, their parents, they go to the big city for job and leaving behind their kids in the villages for their grandpa and grandmoms to take care. And actually they love us, our students, to teach them some simple English, some conservation idea. They take them as a brother and sisters. They love them a lot, all right, for our service. This is another example, a story that when we took a group in Cambodia in 2018, right? This is called Saron Village. And we took the student to understand what poverty, how people live, because our students are from Hong Kong. They live in a big city, metropolitan city. They don't have no idea how poor people they actually live. This is the lady, right? How she lived by picking up these tins, cans, this plastic bottle to make a plastic bag to make a basket for living. And a very touching student, and she is is more than 60 years old, and you can see that you can see that she picked up this is the plastic bag, and she make it into this thread, and then make to this basket. She is the frontline conservationist because she helped to do it, and our student was so touching and helped her to sell this basket in a Facebook and all this means, and help her a lot. So it's a very touching student, and our student enlightened a lot. This is another example that in Inner Mongolia, okay, and we help the local to identify local resources for ecotourism development. You can see it's a very beautiful scenery, and a lot of our students never see so many sheep, clear sky, and with dancing thing, right? And we also have this they are horse riding, and this what we call arts and craft, very rich in resources, and we help them to identify that these are potential areas that they can develop their ecotourism. Okay, and also we help actually this women group. They are very shy. I think asking a student to help is good, because our students, just like a pilot study, they can communicate with them, live with them. They are not the real client for the villagers, but to the student, it's easier for them to communicate. And we help them to develop their skill in how to do homestay, how to do better service, how to communicate with tourists. And again, this is a very unique kind of a rare tribe. Okay, this tribe is called Yuwenki. Okay, these are the China's last reindeer herding group. They are endangered kind of tribes. Okay, not many people now left now. These are indigenous people in the area. Okay. So the last group I want to share is that actually I have one group volunteer asked me to organize a trip to Indonesia, okay, and to do some service learning, and we have Bandung. I think this place called Bandung. We organize a seminar, a discussion, and then the aim of this project, okay, of a student to go over there to help them to better preservation and revitalization of the art and heritage of this what called Wayang Golek. Okay, this is. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it, but this is Sudanese puppet, and it's a very interesting thing. Okay, and you can go to the website to check all about it. Okay, actually, I'm not sure how much time I got. I like to. These are the website that you can share. Can I share only one website? Yuji, how much time I got now?
1 more minute.
1 more minute, then I'm not going to share. You can go to this website and check out what my students have done and a lot of different service, a lot of things that they have achieved. And you will wonder how students' ability, how their creativity is, and then we can make you, we can fully utilize or align our student to do the job. Now, I'd like to share some of the good practice for doing service learning. First, of course, we have to do advanced planning. Okay, very good advanced planning. For example, like site visit, and we need to communicate with different stakeholders before our service delivery. For example, like we need a local partner, usually a local educational institution. Okay, like in Cambodia, in China, we always find a local university educational system to work with us. Of course, the local official, different level of government get the approval, their cooperation, the schools, the villages leader. That is a very good, important to communicate with different stakeholders, all right? Another important practice, always prepare for crisis management throughout the process. For example, sometimes you get your students sick, your helper are sick, and sometimes I tell you, once I was in China, I took a group and all the students and the teachers cannot stay in that accommodation that we planned. Why? Because one of the teacher in China is a Tibetan, and the Chinese government are strictly control on Tibetan on traveling, and it caused a lot of us a lot of trouble to solve the problem and change the venue. So you always prepare that something happened and you handle it, and crisis management skill is very important. Of course, you need to be a good listener. Okay, listen to your student, very important, and then different stakeholder. And you need to have a cultural sensitivity mindset, okay? And I always invite different culture, how you communicate with them, and always important to have a cultural sensitivity mindset. As I mentioned, and also in different presenter, even Mickey, he summarized yesterday's presentation theme is capacity building is important in a lot of community-based tourism. And what I say, allowing students to help local community to develop community-based ecotourism to achieving poverty elevation is a win-win strategy for both student, local community, and even you are a tour operator. You can ask help from student and academia, and it's a good practice. Okay, the success is that you have to use your heart and passion to do this. It's another job, do this service, what I say. Last but not the least, join AEN. That is a very good practice, and you get a lot of networking and a lot of good practice to share about. I was the founding member of the AEN. I was the vice chair, and I stepped down, but I still stay in the teaching and learning committee. So I would like really ask you to join us, AEN, and definitely you will benefit. So thank you, and I have a lot of reference if you want to catch up more. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Alan. It's always insightful, yeah, to be like what Dr. Alan said when you join AEN. Yes, indeed. Yeah, it's also for me. And also I love his sentence with use your heart and patience. That's very true. Yeah, and I do agree with that. Yeah. Okay, so now we are going to the discussion because we also have tight time. I would like to give the first questions here from Lita, I guess. Here is, hey Andrew, kindly share various measures on how to maintain for sustainable practices of wildlife ecotourism in Malaysia. particularly the bird watching tourism post-COVID. Okay, Mr. Andrew, are you still there? Mr. Andrew?
You may have logged off.
Okay, so then I will go for, oh, this one is from Byron Hartzler. I think it's also a comment for Dr. Alan. Yeah, we've had a lot of interest from international school, high schools, where we can partner tourism with cultural understanding and ecological and environmental diversity and conservation issues. It is good experiential learning, and schools are looking for experiential learning like this. Well done, Dr. Alan. Yeah, that is from Byron Hartzler. Correct me if I'm wrong to mention his name. Yeah, and I think now we can invite here for the one who online to raise hand and ask questions, please. Is there any audiences here or maybe students who join this online?
Hi, Boji. This is Lita. I was asking two questions, one for Andrew and one for Dr. Alan, actually.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so for Andrew, I tried to call him, but maybe he's left or maybe he has a problem with the connection. So I would like to go for Dr. Alan. And here it's also from Lita. Dr. Alan, nice presentation. Thank you very much. You mentioned about good planning, which include resilience strategy. Kindly inform some of the good practices. Cheers, from Lita.
Okay, the good practice for what? Sorry, I couldn't catch for you. Good practice on what?
Okay, Lita, can you directly
Yes.
comment on this? Yes.
Yes. Hello, Dr. Alan. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. It was very inspiring. Yes, you mentioned before at the last two last presentation that mentioned about good planning, right? Which is, we all know, with the COVID situation, now we have to adapt our planning and build a resilient strategy. Can you please share and inform some of the good practices that you already implement? Thank you very much.
Okay, now first of all, I actually developed and created this subject. And in a university setting, we at least have a 2 or 3 years advanced planning. You have to go through a lot of bureaucracy, the administrators, the approval, in university teaching, you have to identify all the learning outcome, identify all these things. And then it's very complicated process in a university setting. If you want to know about it, I can share with you. But some of them is a site visit. Usually I went to 2 or 3 times for the site visit, for picking up, and I select different sites. It's not every site that is appropriate. So I go for different site for selection. And also not all the partners will be right for you. So you have to be selective and find out some of the appropriate partnership for you. So this is a good practice. Another thing is that always prepare for crisis manager. You plan very well, excellent, but come out, the scenario will not be the same. I tell you, there's all ways of the problem of taking students outside the university, what we call experiential learning. You can see I have written a journal paper about experiential learning and taking students for groups. For example, if better to have a male and female colleague in the team to work, all right? because the female student will not talk about her problem with you as a male teacher, for example. There's a lot of things to do, and we can check more about it privately, perhaps. Is that all right?
Thank you, Alan.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Lita. Oh, here is yeah, Andrew. I think he's in again, if I'm not mistaken. Mr. Andrew, are you there?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. So sorry.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Yes, no problem. So there is one question.
Question? Yes.
Yeah, from Lita. Yeah, here. And yeah. So I guess here Lita said, kindly share various measures on how to maintain more sustainable practices of wildlife ecotourism in Malaysia, particularly the bird watching tourism post-COVID.
That's right. I think the key in what all of us are saying today is local community, local community involvement, local community investment, just like the story of the manta rays. There are a few sites in Malaysia, mostly in Borneo, where they actually take care of some of the specific or special unique birds that's found in the area. There's one or two sites only peninsula, where the a resort takes care of a dancing ground or a display ground of a very beautiful endangered and endemic bird, yeah, for example. So I think the short answer to this is we must get local community involved. You know, they must get involved because they are the custodians. They can be there to manage, to maintain, and this formula can be then replicated in all other indigenous villages, communities, and so on. And even the big resorts, small resorts, can also take part and get a piece of the pie. Yeah. So that's the short answer to a pretty interesting question. Thank you.
Yeah. So hope that it enlighten you, Lita. Otherwise, then you can of course contact each other directly. Yeah.
Yes, I will contact Andrew for more details.
It's a pretty good thing because we have to. It's good to cross sell. You know, people who come for birds are also nature lovers, so they also want to see other stuff. You know, from trees to mammals to reptiles to butterflies. Yeah. So and of course local communities. Yeah. So it's something that we all can get together and network together with. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
okay.
Yeah. Because of the time, yes, Dr. Alan, maybe there will be I'll give you later on a time. Now I will like to call first Mr. Chong Nguyen for the last questions, and then later on we'll go to the next presentator. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm Cuong. I'm teaching for Hanoi University in Vietnam. I just want to have one question for Dr. Alan. When I listened to his presentations about the service learning activities that he did with some communities in other countries. So in my opinion, when we say the service learning is that we need to find out the problem of the communities, and we help them to solve the problem. And from that work, we can learn from the practical case. Is that correct? So then I just want to know how would you find out the problem of the community when you send our students to like a Sichuan or other destination? What are the problems?
Okay. Because all right. Because I think you might running out of time to do your presentation. A quick answer is that we try to talk to the local partner before we go there. Okay, local partner. All right. So we talk some other time, and you go ahead with your presentation. All right. Okay. We talk Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good question. Thank you. Wonderful.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, I think it's quite a live discussion right now. But then, of course, I would like to hear to continue for the one who has questions still, of course, then you can continue via our chat room.